Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Yes, today is Thursday, and it's time again for the Critical Drinker. Well, here's thoughts. But let's start greetings before we get into the title of what he's gonna review for us. We got hello. My name is Daniel. I'm your host. You're
guy in the chair.
He said it.
And today we have Stranger Things 5. So let's see what he has to say. I can't believe it's almost over. So enjoy it.
Hey, you guys! Remember Stranger Things? Remember how it was like the coolest thing ever when it premiered nearly 10 years ago? Remember how it took all the tropes and character archetypes from all those 1980s movies you loved as a kid and spun them into a dark fantasy storyline with a nice side order of sci-fi and horror? Well, it's back. Again, this time for the final season, a full 3 years after the last one came out. Damn man, Halley's Comet shows up more often than this show. Anyway, it's been on quite the roller coaster over the past decade or so. Season 2 was a solid but slightly uninspired follow-up to the excellent Season 1. Season 3 shit the bed in spectacular fashion and came pretty close to torpedoing the entire show, but then out of nowhere, Season 4 came back swinging and went a long way towards redeeming it. Yeah, you kinda had to overlook the I was behind everything the whole time villain that was clearly retrofitted into the narrative late in the game. And yeah, the writers definitely pussied out a few times by giving last-minute reprieves to characters who absolutely should have been killed off. But overall, it was a decent season of TV that got the show back on track, earned back a lot of fan goodwill, and neatly set all the pieces in place for the final confrontation. The only question was, would they be able to bring it home? And after watching the 4 episodes of Volume 1, because apparently we're doing the pretentious bullshit of splitting the season up into volumes like it's the complete works of Charles Dickens or something, my conclusion is, maybe. And to explain why I felt this way, I need to run you through the plot. The story picks up in the fall of 1987, once again reuniting us with the world's most shot-out looking group of teenagers. Honestly, at this point I figured they'd time jump us forward a few years to account for the fact that most of the cast now look like they're in their mid-30s, but no such luck. Just don't think about it too much, I guess. In the year or so since the events of the last season, the town of Hawkins has been sealed off from the outside world by the military. The giant tears in the ground have been patched over with steel plating, and all the citizens are now trapped inside the cordon. Holy shit, man, talk about walking back your narrative. The finale of season 4 implied that we were well into the end of the world territory, but just like our gang of 30-year-old teenagers, it's back to business as usual in Stranger Things. Also, I'm pretty sure that interdimensional tears in the fabric of reality itself are not the kind of things you can just pave over and forget about. And even if you could, you'd definitely want to evacuate every civilian in a 50-mile radius, because not only would they be in huge danger, but inevitably they'd start nosing around and interfering in your operations. But oh well, let's just not think about it too much. So much to my non-surprise, the gang have been spending the past year nosing around and interfering with the military's operations, especially by sneaking into the Upside Down, where they've been hunting for Vecna so they can kill him once and for all and end the threat. Oh yeah, you can just travel freely in the Upside Down now, to the point where the US military now has a research outpost there. Clearly they're working on something big, but so far nobody's quite sure what. Now, to properly explain everything that's happened in this season would make this video almost as long as Mahler's Star Wars Outlaws review, and quite frankly, I might not even live that long, so I'm going to keep this as simple as possible. While Hopper searches the Upside Down for signs of Vecna, the rest of the gang supports him by developing a rudimentary tracking system. 11 trains up to prepare herself for the final battle. You know, I didn't realize this until I started editing the footage together, but holy fuck, man. She has got the goofiest run I have ever seen. Lucas cries over Max, who's still in a coma ever since Vecna turned her into a human voodoo doll. The military conduct experiments on a mysterious test subject, and Will starts getting tingly feelings whenever he's close to a demigorgon. Vecna finally makes his big move by kidnapping Joyce's little sister Holly. Clearly they have to rescue her before he can shove his tentacles down her throat. Oh wait, that doesn't sound right. So Nancy and the groovy gang concoct a plan to ambush a demigorgon when it goes after another kid, shoot it with a tracking device, follow it into the Upside Down, hope that it leads them to Vecna, hope they can somehow kill him even though the only person who poses a threat to him isn't even with them, and also hope that they can rescue Holly and find a way out.
Great plan.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, Hopper and Eleven infiltrate the military outpost because they believe that Vecna's being held there, and that's why nobody's been able to find him. Also, Holly gets contacted by Max's disembodied consciousness, which has been living inside Vecna's hive mind this whole time. And while all this is going on, Will and the other half of the Groovy Gang infiltrate the other military base in the real world to kidnap the other kids being held there in protective custody before Vecna can get his tentacled hands on them. But then it all goes wrong and Vecna attacks and much hilarity ensues. You know, I could best describe Season 5 as a decent but slightly overstuffed pizza that some prick has sprinkled with chunks of Brussels sprouts just for shits and giggles. You're generally enjoying the experience, but every time you relax into it, you'll get an annoyingly unpleasant taste in your mouth that reminds you, oh yeah, the chef's a bit of a fucking nut job. The central narrative about having to find and confront Vecna in one last climactic battle is definitely a good one, but it's weighed down by far too many characters doing far too much busy work, performances that range from superb to insufferable to downright baffling. The emotional tone's got more wild swings than a drunken fistfight, and some of the big reveals rely on references to characters and events from like half a decade ago that most people will barely even remember. In short, it feels like a hybrid that lies somewhere between seasons 3 and 4, indulging some of the worst excesses of the show's creative low point, but also reaching bravely for some of the big dramatic highs of its redemption arc. One aspect of writing that Stranger Things has always struggled with, especially in the later seasons, is an inability to kill off characters that have clearly served their purpose. Except for Eddie, of course. Rest in peace, bro. You deserve better. But you can't honestly tell me that Max, Robin, Murray, Lucas, or even Jonathan are essential to the story at this point. And as much as it pains me to admit this, I could probably argue that even Steve hasn't done anything meaningful in years. And yet, there they all are, waiting around for something to do. So the writers have to come up with increasingly convoluted busy work to keep them all occupied, or else put them into a holding pattern where they recycle the same plot beats that they've been trapped in for 3 seasons now. Guess what, guys? Steve, Jonathan, and Nancy are still in a love triangle. Eleven still wants to risk everything to help her friends, but Hopper doesn't think she's ready. Lucas is still pining for Max. Joyce is still a frightened, mentally unstable, middle-aged woman. Actually, I'm not too sure if that's a character arc or just Winona Ryder being herself. Anyway, compounding this problem is that every season adds even more new characters or brings minor ones to the forefront, and while some of them are definitely good additions, Holly's particularly good, and holy shit, it's nice to see Will finally get to do something apart from looking sad and crying. They all still have to be accounted for, and the result is the kind of narrative bloat that would give George R.R. Martin heart palpitations. And by the looks of things, that heart's got enough problems already. Sparing Max at the end of last season when her character arc had clearly run its course was a pretty cowardly decision as far as I'm concerned. I'm not really buying her presence as a kind of disembodied spirit trapped in Vecna's mind, and holy shit, if I have to listen to Kate Bush one more time, I'm going to devote my entire life to building a time machine just so I can go back to the 1980s and erase her from fucking existence. Robin might actually be the worst offender in all this, though. The writers have always struggled to justify her existence, and they still don't seem to know what to do with her, which is weird considering how much fucking time is wasted on her. She's just kind of there most of the time, and my goodwill towards the character isn't helped by Maya Hawke, who's trying so desperately hard to make her kooky and socially awkward that it actually becomes uncomfortable to watch after a while. Oh yeah, and Erica's back. Jesus, man, if there's one character absolutely guaranteed to kill your buzz in this show, it's this absolute arsehole. I genuinely don't know what they were thinking when they wrote her. I don't know what the actress was going for with her delivery, but holy shit, she really is the perfect storm of a terribly written character played by a terrible actor. Also, I really wish the writers would make up their fucking minds about the Demigorgons and the kind of threat that they pose. Depending on what the script needs to happen, just one of these things can either decimate an entire platoon of elite soldiers armed with automatic weapons and tank more damage than Godzilla in the process, or be stopped in its tracks by a drunk middle-aged housewife armed with a broken wine bottle. Both of these things can't be true, guys. Also, it never ceases to amuse me how a Vietnam veteran like Hopper acts surprised when guns run out of ammo. Now, I know I've been complaining about a lot of stuff here because I do think this is a season with problems, most of which seem to be self-inflicted, but it was also entertaining enough to keep me engaged for a solid 4 hours and at least invested enough to see where it's all leading. Is it all getting a bit overblown and preposterous? Yes. Is it struggling to juggle too many characters and subplots? Yes. Are the characters suffering from power creep? Also yes. Do I still care how it ends though? Well, yeah, I do. And at the end of the day, does it even fucking matter what I think? Let's face it, this is the closest thing to a TV event that we've had in years. And the more I think about it, the more I realise it might well be the last of its kind. People that have stuck with Stranger Things for almost a decade are gonna ride it all the way to the end credits, no matter how good or bad it is. And no matter what gripes I might have about it, I do genuinely hope it manages to stick the landing. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Hey guys, I don't know about y'all, but I like the season so far. I really liked Erica. She has her flaws, but I think it's hilarious. I'm hoping they let this shit. We'll have a Game of Thrones ending like that. Was just. They seem like they care about this one. The last episode will be in theaters. I don't know if I'm going to spend the money to go see it when I can watch it from home. But it would be interesting to see it in theaters. But hey, here's what I leave it to y'all. If you like what you saw, don't forget to like it, comment down below, share, and then subscribe. And I hope you had an awesome night and the rest of your day goes really well. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.